Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm Zemo, the dad in DPS, and today we're talking about Milepost Zero and the run-up to it, which will be coming to us on September the 3rd. So we've got just over 2 weeks in order to do that. Now, I'm going to discuss what I think you should be doing with your time in Fallout 76 in this run-up, and generally what my opinions of certain things and what, the usual stuff. Either way, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. So, as you can see on screen here, we have my alt. Now my alt has some items on him. As you can see, he has a lot of weight and he has max weapon weight armor sitting on him, and we have an absolute ton of things here. So the first thing that I would recommend that you do in Fallout 76 in the run up to Milepost Zero, because of the new crafting system, is stockpile legendaries. Now, I'm pretty much focusing primarily on 2-star and 3-star effects. So as you can see here, I am keeping the action point regen effect, whereas on this one, I'm keeping it for intelligence. Whereas then you have this one, intelligence again. Intelligence is really good for leveling, and then weapon weight. So there's quite a lot of effects, and to be honest, when it comes to the effects that you want to keep, I think it all boils down to what you'd rather prefer. Don't let anybody tell you this effect isn't worth you keeping, because if you like that effect, keep it. It's quite simple as that, whether it's action point regen, damage while standing still, damage while moving, weapon weight, whatever effects you want to keep. I would recommend you stockpile those legendaries, because when it comes to Milepost Zero, you're going to be able to scrap them and potentially learn them as a plan, or get the module so that you can add them onto the gear that you want to use. And you see, I've got strength, I've got weapon weight, there's loads of different things I've got here. And when it comes to the weapons, you can see I have very many. I have been stockpiling these for a little while, and there is a lot of stuff here that we will potentially be getting effects from, but I'm keeping things that are important to me for different reasons. There's some weapons that have managed to make their way in there just because, and it's something to scrap. But you're seeing, like, I've got a big varied amount of effects here that I just kind of want to keep. So this is my kind of primary thing that I would recommend. If you aren't stockpiling legendaries, then I would recommend you do, because the reality is, if you do not have legendaries to scrap when the new system comes in, then you're not going to be able to interact with it. It's going to be a lot harder for you to take part in it, because the rarity of getting the modules, and by modules I mean like vital, endurance, medics, legendary mod, those modules, the chance of you getting them just as you find a random legendary is a lot harder. Whereas if you scrap 1,000 items in the one go, there's a good chance you're going to get a bunch of them, and maybe even a plan and learn it that way. That's just my thought process on it. It's not exactly like a set in stone rule, but it is what I'm thinking and what I believe you should be doing. Stockpile as much legendaries as possible. Now, the way to do that, there's a couple of different methods, obviously. Going to events that give you legendary items, such as nuke events, like neurological warfare especially. There's also eviction notice, which gives a huge amount of legendaries, and then test your metal. They're the kind of main ones that I focus on. There's also the Nuka World ones, which will guarantee several legendary drops, as well as one at the end, but they're not as important. But at the same time, the effects on those weapons are kind of guaranteed. So yeah, it's a good choice to head there and try that and see what you can do. Now, this next one it depends on your point of view. My point of view is I'll probably do this with a bunch of items the night before the patch goes live, and that involves crafting Secret Service armor. Now, if you can see on the screen that it takes one module to craft any piece of the Secret Service armor at the moment, and that can then spawn an item that is 1-star or an item that is 3-star. You've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting a 3-star item. The reason for that being is, if I were to use all 370 of my current modules, I would then end up with 370 pieces of Secret Service armor that I could then scrap the next day. Now that means I've at least got 100 3-star items out of that. That basically means that I can then, essentially get the modules or the plans to craft more legendary items in the future. Now, what I would say about that is, obviously, if you use all of your modules the night before, you will have 0 modules the very next day. You will then get scrip from your legendary cores, which you can then use to buy modules, but you will have to farm more modules in order to craft further and subsequent items. So I'm not necessarily saying use all your modules the night before. I'm just saying that if you want the chance and the ability to craft modules and different items and things like that, you're gonna have to potentially spend a load of them. Now, if you have thousands of legendary modules, this won't be a problem for you. But if you're like me on this specific character where I don't have as many, it's maybe not the best idea to use all my modules the night before. But that's all down to you. But it's a good way in order to get some of the legendary armor plans and mods that you can potentially attach to stuff and then make yourself some god roll armor in the patch. That is an option. But what I would say at the very least is that the night before, craft a full set of any armor set that you want and have it rolled as a legendary. For Secret Service armor, it will cost me 5 modules. Now, if I was to craft any of the other sets, like the Covert Scout set, for example, I'm going to have to craft the set and then I'm going to have to re-roll that into a legendary, which is, off the top of my head, is it 4 legendary modules? What's it doing? Come on. It's not doing what I'm wanting to do. I'm sure it's 4 legendary modules to just randomly re-roll. Free. So, like, it's going to cost you 3 per armor piece. But then, next day, you can then upgrade them. The problem with that being is when you randomly roll legendary armor effects next patch, it's going to be exponentially more expensive. And you have to do that before you can adjust the mods. So any armor set, any weapon that you want to have a legendary of to reroll, make sure you're making it at least the day before so that you can mod it when you do get the relevant mods. Otherwise, it's going to be more expensive to you. At the same time, legendary modules are going to be a lot more abundant and easier to come by, so it's not as important, but at the same time, it does save you some money in terms of modules, I suppose. You know, it's a little bit of a, is it worth it? Is it? Isn't it? It's all down to personal preference. It's all down to what you want to do, but there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a suggestion I'd make if you decide that you want to make it a little bit cheaper and a little easier on you to start off with. You know, if you're not got a huge amount of time to play, that's maybe your better option at this moment in time. Now, the last point I'd make is don't stress yourself about it. When it comes to the next patch, there are lots of opportunities. Now, I've showed you what I'm doing to optimize it, and I'll be honest, I'm a content creator. I do stupid things and do things that, you know, the average player isn't going to bother with, because you're not dumb and you're not going to do silly things for the sake of content. And with that, like, you don't need to do anything I've said in this video. It's just going to help you out and make it a little bit easier so that you can start that journey of crafting and, you know, making better weapons and gear right away. But what I'd say is, again, don't stress yourself out. You don't need to do any of this. And when it comes to getting legendary modules in the next patch, it's going to be so easy. I don't think anybody truly understands how easy it is going to be, because the reality is that you have expeditions which each drop a singular or a double module. Then on top of that, you get scrip. You can use scrip to buy modules. You've also got modules dropping at the end of every event, and certain events can drop a lot of cores at the moment, which converts into modules later on. So essentially, any event that drops 8 cores, which is God, I've forgotten the name of them, is the Colossal Problem, Free Range, then you've got Project Paradise and Encrypted. Now, these events don't really get many people going to them now. You're going to see a lot more people at these events. On top of that, Encrypted is activatable every hour. So you're going to have people constantly activating this event. And nukes are activatable as well. You're going to have people dropping nukes constantly. And on top of that, nukes bring legendaries. Encrypted brings legendaries. The other two, not so much. But you're getting legendary items from it. So it's going to be a big whole thing of the community, the people that are playing, are going to cause a lot more modules to spawn and be available to you. So I wouldn't worry about getting modules too much. It's not going to be like you're going to have 1,000 of them day one. But some people could farm that many very quickly because, yeah, if you're jumping server doing encrypteds, you're jumping server doing nukes, and you're jumping server doing expeditions whilst doing all of these things, you can get a lot of modules in a singular day. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. Granted, it's also going to have some teething problems, but Bethesda has reduced the price of it significantly from the initial version of it. So yeah, I think stressing yourself out would be a bad idea. Like, it's the death of this game, this stressing yourself out and, you know, burnout and all that kind of thing. So I'd say relax, just chill out, and the best way to prepare for this is to do some of the things I said here, if you're inclined, but ultimately, just relax and enjoy the game. Either way, guys, that's my thoughts on it. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's video, and if you have, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And if you want more content from this old git, then I say you should do that. Either way, guys, I'll catch you all next time in the wasteland. Hopefully in milepost 0.
Feeling the heat, I'm taking a gamble, brain poker with the devil. In shadows we ramble, cards on the table, the stakes run high.